Major HITC Sport, and alright, Liverpool fans are not gonna like this video. Christ, about 3 weeks ago I suggested that Jurgen Klopp was suffering from burnout syndrome, and most of you wanted to harvest my organs and sell them on eBay. But lads, hear me out here, this is something you cannot deny. Liverpool are suffering a defensive apocalypse. Let's go Rafa Benitez here and let's take a look at a few facts. Right, so currently Joel Matip is injured. Virgil van Dijk is injured. Nathaniel Phillips is a defensive pigeon. Okay, no, that's a bit harsh. He's done well. But this guy is nearly 24 years old. And look at that CV. 1 season in Stuttgart, and then that's it. Back in 2016, he nearly quit the sport to go and study in North Carolina. So don't you tell me he is the answer to saving top 4. What else? Reece Williams is an unproven kid. Ozan Kabak, I don't want to immediately call him a flop, but he hasn't been great. And finally, Ben Davies is a Preston centre half. So what I'm going to do today is take a look at every Premier League club and find the worst current centre back they have who would still manage to crawl themselves into Liverpool's ramshackle injury hit defence. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Pablo Mari. Yeah. This week, Arsenal fans must feel like sticking Pablo Mari headfirst into a dishwasher. Losing at home to Man City is expected for a team like Arsenal these days. But good Christ, not only did they come off that pitch with 0 points, they also left £1 million scattered across the turf. And considering he was outjumped by Raheem Sterling for the goal, a guy who's about as tall as a Oompa Loompa, even he would probably stumble his way into this ramshackle Liverpool defence. Aston Villa, Courtney House. Yeah, we live in a world where I'm tipping a former Wickham and Gillingham defender whose first name is Courtney to start in defence for the Premier League champions. That should really ram home the magnitude and incredulity of this situation. Courtney House, he's 25 years old and currently out with an injury. They said, I realise he was released by West Ham at 16, but still, House isn't a bad defender and will comfortably make someone like Ben Davies resemble a constipated housewife. Brighton, Dan Burn. Lads, take your pick from the Brighton defenders. You might question whether Ben White or Lewis Dunk would make the current Reds team. No. Make no mistake about it, Jurgen Klopp would happily let a dog sit on his face, even get half an hour out of either one of them. But there's videos about each club's worst defender who would still make the Liverpool team. And so then, 28-year-old former Darlington defender Dan Burn, a Geordie defender released by Newcastle back when they were giving Titus Bramble weekly games. Anyway, yeah, he's a solid enough mid-table standard centre half. He might just squeeze his way into Liverpool's team, but that shows how desperate they are. Burnley, James Tarkowski. Lads, remember when Liverpool were linked with the move for James Tarkowski in 2019? Looks like he'd have been a pretty damn good signing for them now, doesn't it? I know he only has 1 England cap to his name and does turn 30 next year, but good Christ. Liverpool's treatment room is so cramped, it probably looks like Ned Flanders' bunker. Tarkowski is a £50 million rated centre half, well, by the Burnley owner anyway. So don't tell me that Klopp would turn his nose up at a guy who West Ham bid £31 million for in the summer. Chelsea, Andreas Christensen. Listen, there was a brief spell under Antonio Conte when Andreas Christensen looked like a ball-playing future Barcelona centre half. The next Gerard Piqué. Then under Frank Lampard, he quickly resembled the next David Luiz. And no, that's not a compliment. A bird-brain centre half who looks more accident-prone than an incontinent old woman. But to be fair, he's massively unimproved under Thomas Tuchel. He chucked in a legendary defensive rocket performance against Atletico Madrid this week. And finally, at 24, the Danish defender is coming of age. And I don't care that he was sent off against Liverpool before Halloween. This guy would walk into Klopp's current mangled defence. Crystal Palace, Gary Cahill. Imagine when Liverpool lifted the Champions League in 2019. The same year they stuck 97 points on the board in the Premier League. That was arguably the club's peak. Kings of Europe, looking untouchable, with arguably the world's best centre-half marshalling the back 4. Good Christ, Van Dijk nearly won the goddamn Ballon d'Or. Imagine telling any Liverpool fan then that Gary Cahill, who was currently stuck down the job centre, having just turned down a move to the circus act that was Fulham. Imagine telling him that within a year, he'd be good enough to get into Liverpool's first team. Don't get me wrong, at 35 he's washed up lump of fudge. A guy tossed out of Chelsea like an empty tin of cat food. But still, personally, I would rather an experienced Premier League centre half like Cahill than Ozan Kabak, who might turn out to be a great defender, but anyone who saw him try and give Alisson a piggy back on his debut knows that he needs time to get up to speed in the Premier League. He should be getting his mistakes out in pre-season, not in a race for top 4. Everton, Mason Holgate. This will arguably be the biggest insult in the list to Liverpool fans. Try and tell a Liverpool fan that Mason Holgate, a guy who's had flare-ups with Roberto Firmino, a guy who last week danced around the Anfield turf like he just discovered his first erection. Oh, and they'd probably burst a blood vessel in their face. But lads, a 24-year-old solid centre half with nearly 80 Premier League games under his belt could do a lot worse. Fulham, Tosin Adarabioyo. Alright, step forward, Abdel Nasir, Oluwatosin, Oluwadoyin Salami, Adrabayo. Good Christ, try and stick that fella's entire name on the back of a football shirt, and it will probably cost you half the mortgage on your house. Listen, 23-year-old Tosin Adrabayo is a future England international. He's 23 and spent 17 years on the books at Manchester City. And you're damn right, this guy must be good enough to be a Premier League regular for the next 10 years. And yes, without a doubt, this raw, unproven version of the guy, a fella just learning his trade, he'd still get in Liverpool's team. Leeds Diego Llorente. Okay, you think Adrabayo surviving 17 years at Man City was impressive? No, Diego Llorente just spent 15 years in the books of Real Madrid. And you're telling me he can't squeeze his way past Nathaniel Phillips? I'm sorry, what? Without a shadow of a doubt, Klopp would snap him up in the morning. Leicester, Cagliari, Soyuncu. Again, where do you want to start with Leicester City? But I'll go with Cagliari, Soyuncu. When Kabak arrived at Anfield, some media outlets questioned whether he was the best Turkish defender in the league. No, on his debut, he wasn't even the best Turkish defender on the pitch. Cagliari Soyuncu is a 24-year-old rock. A guy the last year has been linked with an £80 million move to Man City. Anyway, yes, without a doubt, Soyuncu, the former Freiburg defender, would waltz his way into Klopp's team. Man City, Nathan Ake. Okay, listen, I know Nathan Ake is currently out with a hamstring injury. So no, obviously Klopp wouldn't want to pick him now when he can barely reach for the Weetabix without feeling a pain in his leg. But if he were fit, then yeah, a £40 million defender. Again, like Cahill, another Chelsea castaway. And yeah, just came off the back of a demoralising relegation with Bournemouth. Yes, I realise his home debut for Man City coincided in a 5-2 battering disaster. A game where Jamie Vardy made him look like a defensive cheese sandwich. But still, a fit Ake would walk into this team. Man United, Phil Jones. Oh, Liverpool fans are going to absolutely hate me for this one. But lads, I know Phil Jones is rusty as balls. And I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would just prefer to just accept he doesn't even exist. But lads, he isn't just this walking defensive cheeseburger. He did have potential in him. Let's not forget Sir Alex Ferguson said he was potentially the greatest Manchester United player of all time. Now maybe that was just Fergie starting to embrace the world of senility, but I don't think so. Let's not forget only 4 years ago, Gareth Southgate, your England manager, was stating that Jones was the best English defender on the planet. Listen, I'm not saying he's right. I don't even rate Jones, and there must be a reason why he's being more ignored than a chunky older boy. But if you got him fit and playing well, yes, he's an upgrade on Ben Davies. Newcastle, Kieran Clark. Okay, I realise Liverpool fans are probably very quickly getting sick of their mouth at this suggestion. But lads, calm down, alright? I'm not asking you to lick food off your dog's tongue. I know on the face of it, Kieran Clark does not sound like an appealing pick, but I actually think he's a pretty underrated centre half. He's never been outstanding in his 5 years at Newcastle, but he's also never let the club down when he's picked. Trust me, when he was at Villa Park, I assumed Clark was a wet sack of potatoes masquerading as a Premier League centre half, but I'd actually call him pretty damn solid. He might just squeeze his way into maybe. Sheffield United, Ethan Ampadu. Yeah, again, I know what you're thinking. Why on earth would Klopp pick a player stuck to the foot of the league, part of a defence which has lost nearly every game this season? Yeah, I know. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? Southampton, Jan Bednarek. Yeah, Jan Bednarek is having the season from hell. Good Christ, red cards, own goals. 3 weeks ago, this guy was probably considering a change of career. Just sack it in and go and become a milkman or something instead. But again, on his day, the Poland international is a decent enough, solid-ish centre half and might just get himself into the Liverpool team. Tottenham, Joe Rodon. Does Jose Mourinho actually trust Joe Rodon? The man gave him a run of 3 games before chucking him to the bench, and now he can't even make the squad, just being punished for losing away at Brighton. Listen, I still think there is potential in this former Swansea centre half. He was a defensive rock in that goalless draw at Stamford Bridge in November. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he is the next Alfie Mawson in disguise. Some overpaid chunk of pigeon. But I don't think so, and maybe Klopp might even want him in Anfield, right? Who knows? West Brom, Darrell O'Shea. Listen, Darrell O'Shea isn't a world-class defender at all, and mostly been on the losing side this season for West Brom. But again, I've seen enough potential in him to know that he is a far more accomplished centre half than Nathaniel Phillips, who yes, has done well, but trust me, stick him in a demoralised West Brom team. A team playing with all the confidence of Stephen Tries on a night out. And trust me, he'll soon be more exposed than through Jordy's DMs. West Ham, Craig Dawson. I'll admit it, when I saw Craig Dawson chew the part of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on the last day of the last season for Watford, showing the hunger and fight of a dying panda, I honestly thought this former Rochdale centre half was done for in the top flight. But he's been great this season under David Moyes, being an experienced 30-year-old rock in defence, and so yeah, Klopp could do worse. Christ above, imagine telling a Liverpool fan this time last year that they'd be begging for Craig Dawson in their defence. Wolves, Max Kilman. Okay, yes, I was screaming for Liverpool to bring back Connor Cody in January. But again, such is Liverpool's desperation for a few centre backs. Good Christ, Max Kilman, a former Welling United and Maidenhead defender, even he would sneak his way onto at least Liverpool's bench and probably get himself into the team. And that's it. Let me know in the comments below. Liverpool fans, let me know. Am I completely missing the mark with this? Is the defensive crisis not all that bad, and with these defenders not actually getting your team? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.